Hey guys, welcome back. I thought I'd just make you guys a quick video about what potatoes I'm growing this year and how to go about chitting your potatoes. So for those of you who don't know what chitting your potatoes is, all it basically involves is putting your potatoes into an egg carton or a box or something along the lines of that and leaving them in a cool, cold, sunny position. And what that will then do is grow small little eyes on your potatoes. They are the start of the new shoots ready for the plants. If you look close enough on these, which these are approximately a couple of weeks old, these potatoes, so they've been chitting for say a fortnight, maybe 3 weeks. If you look, you'll have a small purple shoot at the bottom, and above that, if you look close enough, you'll see the start of some leaves that are forming. And if you look careful enough, sorry but this camera doesn't seem to want to focus. I'll show you guys better in a second. On some other potatoes you'll see these small little white dots that are appearing, and that is where the roots are going to come out of. So some people say that this gives your potatoes a boost. You don't actually need to chit your potatoes before you plant them, but it certainly does help, from my personal experiences anyway. So how do you go about chitting your potatoes? So I find a good method, if you've only got a few potatoes, is using an egg carton. You just basically need to identify which end is the rose end and which end is where the eyes are going to come from. So to do that, if you have a look on, this is what we call the rose end. If you have a look on the bottom of the potato, there is a little dimple there, and you can see where the potato used to connect to the main plant through the stem. So that is what we call the rose end, and you want to place that end down, because on the opposite side is where your eyes, or at least the majority of your eyes, will come from. So like I said, this is at about a fortnight. I personally, because I cannot keep my potatoes cool enough to store them throughout the whole winter, I start my chitting process on my potatoes off in January. And basically I keep them in a cool windowsill. It's around, I'd say 5 or 6 degrees, and it's a sunny windowsill, but I do not keep them in full sun, so they only get sunlight or direct sunlight for maybe an hour or two in the morning, and then it's pretty much shaded sunlight on that side of the house for the rest of the day. So I start mine off in January, my main croppers, which you can probably see a few of them up in the corner. I'll show you guys the rest of them in a minute. I started them off in January, and it is now the middle of March. So yeah, after a little while, what they will turn into is chits like this one, which you can see is a fair old good size. These are probably some of the largest I've grown. You can see the roots where they're ready to come out around the bottom there as well, and you can see more clearly on the top here the leaves on the top of the plant. I planted some of these up with large chits, and I had my potatoes up within 7 days, so it must help dramatically. So I'll show you guys what potatoes I am planting now this year. So this entire box here, which I also recommend if you're planting a lot of potatoes, to chit them in a box like this. This is just a fruit and veg box, but this variety is the Saparo Miras. They are the blight resistant variety, so they're my main croppers that I'll be planting this year. Then I have my first earlies, or what's left of them, the ones I've saved personally. I think they are a Charlotte potato, so they have also been chitting since January. And then I went out and I bought 2 other first early varieties, Pentel and Javelin, which are these. And finally I bought an Aran Pilot, which are these, also first early. So just before I sign off then guys, I will tell you guys some mistakes that you can make while chitting your potatoes, and what the signs are that you're making some mistakes. So these 3 potatoes here, I'll leave these 2 in, but this potato, and this potato, let me just sit down guys, because the camera's shaking quite a bit. It's quite cold out here, I can't kind of keep it steady, but you can see that this one is a light pink, and the reason for this is because I had the potato with the wrong end sticking up, So you can see this is because it has not had enough sunlight. It should be a very deep and dark purple like this one. So if you see they're starting to go like this, I would immediately put them into a more sunnier spot, because otherwise you're liable to get these to go very leggy and grow very long, which I'll show you an example of later. The same can be said for these two as well. You can see these are more of a pink than these, and you can also see that the leaves have not formed on these chits where they have already formed on these. So moving on, guys, if your chits are in good sunlight but are in the corner of the box, you may find that they will start to grow the roots out. So if that happens, then make sure that they're getting more sunlight around the potato, and you can space your potatoes out a little bit more. In this case, I'm just going to move the potatoes out the front there towards the back, and that will stop that and eliminate it. You can also see that over here, and this also is another example of a bar chit. And what this basically is because this one would have been something along the lines of that from the sun's perspective. So the potato itself is actually hidden. So this one is actually started to grow and form its plant. So you can see there, that's basically what it would do once you plant it in the ground. That chit will, what's the word, not swell, but contract, and it will send up a green growth shoot from there and send out roots. So to fix that, again, just pop it in more of a full sunlight spot, and that will solve that problem. So I'll quickly cut the camera now, guys, and show you some of my potatoes that have been in a dark place. Some of the small rejects that I haven't got around to grinding up and composting yet. So I'll show you those, and that is one other example of a bar chit. Okay, guys, so I went back inside the house and I picked up some of my trays like this, which had some reject potatoes in it, mostly with worm damage and etc, etc. So potatoes that we did not deem fit for eating. I basically just left them all in a box, stacked them on top of each other, and obviously this has happened. So this has grown a crazy long shoot. I mean, it's, you know, it's at least half a metre long, probably this. But it shows you another example of a bar chit. If you go to a shop and you see potatoes that look like this, I mean, this is a real extreme example now, but even, you know, like this one here, smaller. If you go to a shop and you see a potato like this in a bag, even if they're practically giving them away, I won't really bother, guys. I mean, the potato's gone soft. You can see how much energy is put out of its food source into making this. What you could do, I mean, you can do this. You can actually plant her as it is, or if this is all you had, and you had obviously had time to reach it, you could obviously just snap that off, and it will grow new eyes again. You could chit it properly again, but obviously half of this food store has gone into making this, so yeah, it's probably not worth your time, to be honest. You'd probably get potatoes, but I wouldn't bet what the yield would be like. Again, this is another example of that. It's gone quite soft, the potato has, and obviously it's gone leggy, and it's that light colour pink with those roots coming out, so we don't want that. On the contrary though, guys, if I pick up one of these potatoes and I squeeze it, you can still see it's actually still very firm. You can see it's started to go a little bit wrinkly, but it's kept its firmness, it's still firm, and that there is what I would call a perfect chitted potato. Planting them in, and good to go. So with all that said, guys, it looks like I'm going to have plenty of potatoes to plant this year. It should be a great year for that. So stay tuned, guys, and yeah, we'll see the results of that shortly. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again.